Hello friends! The range of Hyundai i40 power units is represented by 4 engines, 3 of which are gasoline and 1 diesel, a 1.7-liter CRDI, 116, 136, and 141 horsepower. Gasoline with direct fuel injection, Gamma 1.6 GDI, 135 horsepower, and NU 2.0 GDI, 178 horsepower, as well as with distributed injection, NU 2.0 MPI, 167 and 150 horsepower. All engines are equipped with a durable timing chain drive. There are no serious faults. It is worth noting that some owners are concerned about rumors of possible scuffing on the cylinder walls in the NU 2.0 MPI G4NA engines after 100,000 kilometers. In this case, a knock appears and oil consumption increases. However, there are only a few cases with the i40. Therefore, there is nothing to fear for now, but you should not lose vigilance. In a pair of motors, a 6-speed manual V6 CF1 and 2 or a 6-speed automatic A6 MF1 and 2 were offered. The smallest 1.6 GDI engine was combined only with the manual transmission, and the turbo diesel, after restyling, was aggregated with a 6-band robotic gearbox with 2 dry clutches, 7DCT, D7 UF1. In the case of manual transmission, there are complaints about poor gear shifting. More often, the disease manifests itself on a still unheated car when you first turn on the gear, before trying to start. When contacting an official service, either the clutch master cylinder or the clutch slave cylinder or the clutch or the flywheel were to be replaced. But even after updating the nodes, the problem sometimes returned. Usually, the manual transmission clutch serves more than 150 to 200,000 kilometers. The 6-speed automatic is expectedly reliable. True, many owners note the appearance of shocks during switching, but the repair does not reach. Sometimes it is possible to get rid of unpleasant symptoms for some time after updating the transmission fluid. It should be emphasized that individual copies have already covered over 200,000 kilometers without any automatic transmission repair. The robot, like the Vygotsky analog of the DSG, sometimes began to kick after 50 to 70,000 kilometers. After replacing the clutch unit, everything returned to normal. McPherson struts are installed on the front axle and a multi-link at the rear. The suspension is relatively comfortable, but the Hyundai i40 does not encourage too dynamic driving. The electric power steering is partly to blame. Although it allows you to maneuver effortlessly, turning the steering wheel with one finger, it does not give the best feeling of the road. The chassis will require attention no longer in the segment of 50 to 100,000 kilometers. The front shock absorbers and front wheel bearings are the first to be surrendered. Before restyling, the bearings were changed separately, and after that they were assembled with a hub. Rear bearings also come complete with a hub and usually last longer. Closer to 100,000 kilometers, it is the turn of the ball bearings, which are pressed into the aluminum lever. Therefore, the entire lever should be updated. Sometimes the outer CV joint also fails. Knocking in the steering wheel is a characteristic disease of modern cars, which has not bypassed the Hyundai i40 either. Often the fight against knocking remained unsuccessful. When contacting the official service, they changed the steering rack and steering column with the EUR. But after 20 to 30,000 kilometers, extraneous noise returned. The paintwork of the Hyundai i40 is quite delicate. Soon the body is overgrown with chips, and after 3 to 5 years they can bloom. Paint bulges are found on the roof, near the windshield, hood, and trunk lid. Quite often the rear view camera fails. Over time it loses its tightness, which leads to moisture and dust getting inside. As a result, the lens becomes dirty and the board oxidizes. On pre-styling cars, the daytime running lights built into the headlight sometimes stop working. Lucky if the car is under warranty, otherwise it will be necessary to repair or replace the board or the entire headlight. There were also problems with the air conditioning system. The most common is the interruption of the supply of cooled air during a long trip. The reason is the freezing of the evaporator. The disease was eliminated by installing additional resistance in the control wiring. Some owners were faced with the replacement of a faulty air conditioning compressor. Sometimes it was possible to limit ourselves to replacing a failed valve. Occasionally, the fuel filler flap starts to jam. The pusher mechanism fails. An interesting detail, the sedan has a round fuel tank cap, while the station wagon has a rectangular one. If you know of other model malfunctions, be sure to write about it.